Joining us now is One Nation leader, Senator Pauline Hanson. Senator, always good to catch up. Thanks for joining us on the show. Putting this activist aside, but he asked a legitimate question about migration. And we just had the federal budget a few days ago forecasting a slowing of net overseas migration over the forward estimates. But, can we really trust Labor? Because they have not been able to slow down the rate in 3 years. In fact, they've brought in a record number of migrants.
They have, Danica, and that's why Albanese can't answer the question, because people have been on about this for years since Albanese took over, that they were angry about it, so he can't answer the question about it. He brought them in to actually prop up the GDP because the government has cut productivity in this country with the high energy costs. Everything comes down to, as you said earlier, energy costs is destroying our industries, manufacturing, small business, farming sector, everything, households. Everything comes down to the high energy costs that they've been driving all this time. So they've brought in the high immigration numbers in the country, the highest in record of the nation. And this is why they can't answer it. And people are angry about high immigration because they're facing the effects of it, lack of housing, rental accommodation, high rents. This all comes to high immigration.
Well, Senator, it seems Anthony Albanese doesn't want to talk about power prices, as we were just saying, given the $275 fantasy never eventuated. So much so that when he was asked today, he walked right away from the energy modelling he relied on at the last election, saying, wow, that was just based on the circumstances of the time. Here's my question. Can we put any credence on anything the government says about the coalition's policy on energy, considering how badly they've failed on their own?
Well, correct. And he won't answer the questions as he was questioned this morning about what happens if your energy costs after the end of this year, what are you going to do to stop the rise of energy costs? Well, all we're doing is giving you $150. If he gets a 3-year term, he's got to have a plan in place to tell the people how he intends to deal with this. He can't answer your question. He realised that the last election, when he promised $275 lower in your electricity bill, it's actually gone up to nearly $1,300 a year. So he didn't reduce it. The lies that this government has put out, and I'll tell you another lie he's put out. Remember the last election he promised 50 medical centres to run 24/7 in Australia. He produced 48 of that 50, but guess what? They don't run 24/7. There's only 2 that operate at that time, 24/7, and that's in the western suburbs of Sydney. Now he's advocated more medical centres. He can't get the health professionals, he can't get the doctors. This is all false promises all the time from Labor that they can't deliver their promises to the Australian people. People need to wake up and understand what the hell is happening here. These are false promises, the same old rhetoric that gets you in, because most people don't take an interest, don't know what the hell's going on, don't watch politics, don't understand. But, it sounds good to me. Oh, what about the $5 a week? Yeah, it's a tax cut. That's all they put out. It's a tax cut. It's not more than that, $5 a week. So people need to really switch on, understand the false promises, the misleading information they are going to give you, and look at what is best for the country.
Absolutely. Yeah, remember when Albo said, "My word is my bond," his very famous line, which was a complete lie, as we know, Senator. Now, look, the Prime Minister has said that he wants to host a COP climate conference in Australia, and at the same time, South Australia is bidding to host it next year. Look, Senator, God help us. I mean, can you imagine how much that would cost us in itself in climate financing? Do we really need to host a climate conference here?
Let me tell the people, when they had the COP conference in the UK, it cost them about over $52 billion and the partners, because of the billions in deals that actually went out. Now, South Australia is a basket case when it comes to electricity. They rely on wind and solar, but it has to be backed up by gas. So anyway, they're paying one of the highest prices in South Australia. So to hold that there is an absolute joke. And he's going to cost the state and the country billions of dollars if he gets to hold it in Australia. I suggest don't. We can't afford these conferences. We need to get out of the Paris Agreement. Look, I've said this right from the very beginning, that it's not in our benefit. China and India, these highest polluting countries that are in carbon emissions, are not signatories to the Paris Agreement. Even Trump has got out of it. Wake up, Australia. This is destroying our economy, our standard of living, our way of life, our industries, our jobs. We cannot run this country on renewables, regardless what this Prime Minister promised you. If you die, I'll tell people out there, you're more likely to die from lack of health care, operations, medications, than what you will from climate change, which has been going on for billions of years. Go and do your research on it, because this climate is only estimated, taken back to 1910. Climate change has been happening for millions of years, and we had higher carbon dioxide in our atmosphere when there was no humans here. So go figure, people. Understand the politics and the fear-mongering that's going on.
Senator, we wish you all the best in the upcoming election. The latest news poll shows One Nation's vote is down by 1 percentage point. How much of that has got to do with Clive Palmer?
Look, I don't think Clive Palmer is any part in this election, because Clive Palmer comes in the last minute to actually put up his hand to run an election. I put the years into this. I put my policies forward, and actually I question that, because I get a lot of support when I'm out in the public, and actually the coalition picking up a lot of my policies, One Nation's policies. I've been ahead on a lot of issues. What I raised, people go and look at my 1996 maiden speech on the floor of Parliament. I raised a lot of issues that every one of them has been addressed or have been debated, of what I saw, what was going to happen in the future. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I bring to the table. One Nation will be the only party that will fight for the Australian people to get common sense policies without fear or favour to any major political party. So that's what the people can rely on, One Nation. So we need to get the senators into the Senate, more people elected to the Senate under the banner of One Nation, to hold both the major political parties to account and get good policy for the future generations.
Well, Senator Pauline Hanson, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.